Cooking like a pro is so easy with Pro Seasoning. This is my company. I started it from the ground up. It's called Pro Seasoning. My all-purpose spice is made with Himalayan pink salt. There are no anti-caking agents other than ground up rice. It's all natural, it's made with really high quality ingredients, and it's small batch. My steak seasoning is called Pro Seasoning Steak. It's made with porcini mushroom. It has chunks of Himalayan pink salt, cracked black pepper, shallots, porcini mushroom. It is my opus to a great steak. Pro Seasoning Barbecue is made with coffee. It's got a little bit of cinnamon in it. It's got sea salt. There is nothing like it on the market, I can guarantee you that. I also have gochugaru flakes. I have really cool stuff like vinegar powder. Check out my website, chefnikki.net, and order today.
Do you want to talk about food? I want to talk about food. Let's talk about food. What else are we going to do? We got nothing else to do. Let's go.
Oakley dokley. What's up, food geeks? Chef Nikki here, back with another episode of Nikki Talks Food. This is a podcast where we talk about food, all things that are food related. Sometimes we have guests. This week, part 2 of my interview with Chef Nicole Layog. If you haven't heard the first part, definitely go back and listen to the previous episode because it is an awesome interview. Chef Nicole is a Big Brother 24 alumni, so she's got a lot to say about the way that reality TV casting affects your job. She's also got a lot of advice for how to become a crew member on a private yacht. I myself have worked on private yachts before. I worked for 2 years on a private yacht and I loved it. It was an insane lifestyle. I learned a lot about the world. I learned that Americans need to travel more. I learned that once I was done working on a yacht, that I would do whatever I had to do in order to help other people realize what a great career path this is. Especially if you're coming out of culinary school and you're in a lot of debt, this is a great way to pay off debt because if you get a job on a boat, it's a lot of money and also you're on the water. You have a tiny little wardrobe that you really can't fit anything in, so you don't really buy a lot of stuff. So if you're smart, you can save a lot of money. And the bottom line is, in the culinary field, a lot of times, in order to generate some wealth or to be paid in a way that it can sustain any kind of lifestyle, you have to go abroad. So there's opportunities to go abroad. There's opportunities to work on an oil rig. Some of those jobs are, on rotation. You're on 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off, that type of thing. And some people love that lifestyle. And yachting is one of those things where you're offshore. You're not home usually. And you make a lot of money. So definitely check this interview out if you're looking for something and you're in a kind of like a dead end area of cooking and you need to get out of the US for a little while. So that interview is coming up next, but first I have so much to tell you guys. So we just came back, my wife and I just came back from a 2-week vacation in the Georgia mountains. We went to North Georgia, a town called Clayton. Our goal was just to unplug and sit on the couch. We picked this place because it had, an outdoor sauna and a hot tub and it would just look nice. So we had some friends come up for one weekend, but then the rest of the time we were just like by ourselves with the dogs and it was great. The dogs really loved hiking a little bit. I had these delusions that I was going to go hiking every day with my big brown boy because he is the adventure guy. The little pit bull Queenie does not, she's not into adventure. In fact, I took her for a walk this morning and she just looked up at me like it was absolute child abuse. And so I'm just walking this dog. It wasn't even raining and this dog is looking at me like I'm torturing her. So I had these delusions I was going to, do all this hiking, but it snowed some, it was icy. We did do a couple of hikes and that was a lot of fun. No, I'm lying. We did one hike and it was very steep. It was very icy. And we were even wearing hiking boots, but we were like, this is not for 40 plus women that are not used to ice and hills. And so we did, oh my God. So I don't have Roku. I've never even really been in a place that had Roku. I don't know what it's all about, but this place had Roku and Roku has channels that are 24/7. Like this channel was 24/7 Murder, She Wrote. and I was like, "Bless, this is amazing. I'll sit here and I'll watch Murder, She Wrote," because 'cause they're cozy mysteries, man. It's like they're so silly because it's from the '80s, and so, I did some Murder, She Wrote marathons. They also had, 24/7 British Antiques Roadshow. So how's that for rotting on the couch? So we did a lot of that, and it was great. We only went out to eat one time. We went out to eat one time with friends, and then we drove up to a place called the Highlands, which was part of North Carolina, and we had dinner there. But other than that, I just cooked in our little cabin, and we just sat there and kind of decompressed, and it was cool. But I did look up some antique shops, and I was able to pick up a couple of lighters for my vintage lighter collection. So I was like super happy about that. When I was Googling like where to go for antiques, this shop popped up, and it had the coolest pictures of antique appliances. And so, and I'll put pictures up of the appliances because they're very, very cool. This place was packed with appliances. It was like rows and rows and rows. And I don't know if you guys watch American Pickers. That's another show I'll literally sit there and binge until my eyeballs fall out. But American Pickers, some of the antique stoves and stuff were like dusty and stuff, and those guys would call them sweaty. Like, oh, they would call it a sweat, like it's sweaty, like it just came out of the barn. And I love that term. So they had some very cool, very unique stoves, fridges, mainly stoves and fridges. And it just looked, they were, so they had a whole operation. It was called Antique Appliances Com on the Apple Maps, but on the window it said Jowers, Jowers. And I went into that shop and I talked that guy's ear off. I don't know if he was the owner or what, but I was like, I came in there like, holy crap, I'm like hitting a candy store. So I asked him all about it, and he showed me the method to see like whether or not something was for sale. But he told me all about the operation. It was really cool. They had a whole back warehouse that they had people back there that were changing upgrading the electronics, making them not electronics, but they bring them up to code. They basically bring these like stoves and stuff and fridges up to code. And so people, let me backtrack. People send them stoves, fridges that are vintage from everywhere. They send them these stoves because they're the ones that they are subject matter experts in rehabbing these stoves and refrigerators from this time period, from this time period of like maybe like 100-year span. Like it had stuff from like 1800s, late 1800s. And you can tell how excited I'm getting. Oh God, I'm getting like hot under the collar. But people would send them these appliances. Some of them came out of like, places they're renovating. Maybe they bought someplace and it was like a church and this had this old oven, and they'll send it to these guys at Jowers. They'll bring it up to code, and then some of the parts they will take apart, like the facades and everything, and they'll send it off to another company, and that company puts new porcelain on. So they'll totally, and they can change the color and stuff. So if you wanted like that mid-century teal kind of color, oh, that space age freaking mid-century color, you can do that. They'll customize it for you. So some people would send them these appliances, and they would rehab them and then sell them to other people. They had one oven going to France. Like they were like, this one's going to France, so they were tagged a certain way because it was already sold and spoken for, and it was just getting ready to get wrapped up and sent out. So I thought that was so cool because, I mean, where are you going to find something like that? I was so like, I was like, this is the jewel of pretty much the whole trip, except for like obviously bonding with my wife. Bonding with my wife and hanging out with my puppies and like relaxing and stuff. This was the coolest thing to me, was finding out that a place like this even exists. So if you're looking for, I mean, even if like movie sets and stuff, I can imagine these guys get hit up for appliances for time period movie sets and TV shows and things like that. So I thought it was like such a unique niche that these guys were in. And some of the ovens and stuff, I talked about the the BTUs that come off of these things, like they were, I mean, you could smelt gold on them. Some of them, they put off so many BTUs. Like he was telling me, oh my God, this one puts off like, and you would have to even change your, what's that thing? The gas regulator thing that goes to your house. Some people have to upgrade those. You have to put in like a firewall because this thing is thrown off so many BTUs. It's made to I don't even know who they thought they were going to cook for back then, but those suckers they are built like friggin' tanks. And I was asking him, like, I thought they powder coat the outside of the exterior of the appliances, but no, it's not powder coated, it is porcelain. So I was like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. And then it's built to last. So I thought it was cool. I'll put some pictures up, and because I think you guys would nerd out, you'd geek out over that stuff too, because I just think it's so cool. And now it's time for a segment called 8668. 86 meaning get rid of it. I never want to see it again. 68 means keep it. I want more of that. Okay, so 86 AI food pictures. I have seen my social media flooded with AI food pictures. And it's not from like people like, Sally putting her dinner up in like AI, whatever, doing. It's food bloggers. It's people masquerading as people that are knowledgeable in the culinary field. They look stunning at first. Like you can see, like, oh, you're like, oh God, that looks really freaking good. And then you look closer and you can see the edges are kind of like rounded, and you can see the modern version of what I would consider like a pixel. It's like these black little dots where you can see the AI is trying to manipulate the picture into looking a certain way. But you can tell that junk is fake. Fake if you take a look at it. But it annoys me because, there's actual trained chefs out there that are trying to help people cook better, for lack of a better term. There's chefs that are trained in the culinary field and that are not trying to lead you like these charlatans that are out there with these recipes that don't even work, and then you don't know, because if you're not trained if you're not trained in cooking fundamentals or baking fundamentals, you don't know that a recipe is not going to work just by looking at it. And so you think it's your fault, but really it's the source. It's the source of where you got the recipe from. The person is untrained. They're just taking a whack at it. They just want clicks. And so they bait you in with these AI pictures, and I've had it, even, should I say it? I'm going to say it. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. I'm not a big fan of binging with Babish. This guy Babish, I think he pretty much gained in popularity because he's trained in film. And so the concept of everything that he does is really visually pleasing, because he has a great ability to make content, but the content he's making is not something that he is a trained subject matter expert on. And so sometimes his recipes don't work. I used to give extra credit to my students if they could bring me like a Pinterest recipe or some sort of recipe that was impossible to make, meaning that it was not following any kind of fundamentals, and you knew that the eggs would break or the sauce would break or something would curdle because you added the acid at the wrong time or something like that, or the wrong temperature. I would give extra credit to my students because, that recipe would be impossible to make. And so it's out there. So just be careful. And I would say, if you're going to look for a food guru to follow, make sure they're trained. Don't just follow anybody, because you might not be improving your skills. You may be lowering your confidence in the kitchen, because if you're making something and it is destined to fail, and then it does fail, then that lowers your confidence in the kitchen. So 86, that BS. 68, I was gonna like skip 68 this week, and then I thought of something. I was like, okay, well, we can talk about this. I really love my pellet grill. I was really hesitant about getting a pellet grill because it's electric, boogie woogie woogie. You plug it in, and I thought it was like an onslaught of smoke, but it's not. There's like a very slow auger that moves. It drops these little pellets into a cup, and that cup is electrified, and then it the energy is passed to the little pellets, and that makes the smoke. And so it's not like a huge onslaught of smoke. It's like a little at a time. Um, and I was hesitant to change from my regular just electric smoker to a pellet smoker because I already had a smoker. But the beauty in this is that it's timed out very slowly, which is great. And then I opted to get this brand called Pit Boss, and they don't sponsor me or anything. I'm just telling you, I like them. Pit Boss has this little door you can open up in the bottom of the grill that has actual flames, and you can char. And I like that. I'm like, okay, well, if I can smoke and char, I'm sold. Um, so I've been making like whole chickens, steaks, and it does have that wood fire taste to it. It's really delicious. And also, like, I tend to do tofu. I'll just marinate it with some vinaigrette. I make a little homemade vinaigrette, but you can use store-bought, doesn't matter. Season it up with some pro seasoning, all purpose, made by a pro, so you can cook like a pro. One of the best spice blends on planet Earth, I must say. You can season it up with pro seasoning steak that's made with porcini mushrooms. And I put that sucker on the pellet grill, 400 degrees. I'm talking about tofu. And I crisp it up. I get it nice and crispy and depth of flavor. And I'll just eat that as a snack. I mean, it's like there's no cholesterol in that. It's real high protein, and it's yummy. So I try and do like low carbs. I'm back on my BS with that. When I went on vacation for the last 2 weeks, dude, I ate everything. I ate so many cookies. It's like ridiculous. So now first of all, I'm trying to like limit my doom scrolling. And so when we were on vacation, I had no other choice but to leash up my dogs and take them for a walk in the morning because I didn't have like a fenced in yard or anything like that. So I got into that habit. And so my habit now is to get up at 7:30, feed the dogs. Then we go for a walkies. Then I come back and I lift some weights. And I'm not doing that so I can get swole. I'm doing that to decrease my blood sugar in the morning because my body does something called dawning where my blood sugar spikes in the morning. So I'm trying to reduce that. And it's reducing me. It's preventing me from waking up and doom scrolling. And so it's been a good 3 days now, and my this habit I'm hoping I can keep. And so I'm trying to, with everything going on and with all the chaotic news that is out there and the overwhelming amount of information, and then some things come to fruition and then some things just absolutely do not, and then it's like you worried all this energy in the things that don't come to fruition. And I think we're all kind of like in this space where it's you want to stay informed but you don't want to go crazy. I'm just trying to take a step back for my mental health and stop doom scrolling so much. And so anyway, that helps me, this little routine I'm in now. But back to the healthy snack. So I love my pellet grill because I can make chicken, chicken wings, whatever, any kind of protein, even protein, veg. I throw it all on there. I got a big freaking grate, and I just pack that sucker full of protein and veg, and then I'll bust it out throughout the week. It's almost like meal planning, but a little less like it's not so there's not such a commitment because I'm like, I can take a little of this, a little of that, make something, make a freaking lettuce wrap out of some of this protein and veg, throw some vinaigrette on there or some mayonnaise, and I'm happy. So anyway, that is my 68 segment. So I'm excited for you guys to check out the rest of this interview with Nicole Layog. So sit back, relax, and listen. So I want to swing to one of the other major things. So you were cast on Big Brother, season 24.
Yes.
And I want to know how your casting on Big Brother impacted your hireability in yachting.
Ooh. I'm gonna say it's 50-50 because a lot of people watch that show. A lot of people don't watch that show. I also blame Below Deck a little bit for the jobs that I didn't get because I was on a show.
Yeah.
A lot of these owners, a lot of these charter guests, They're very private people. I mean, I think that the one thing about Below Deck that ruins it for everybody else is that nobody wants people in their business. I mean, these people are paying loads of money to be on a private yacht, to
For
not be
discretion.
bothered. And yeah, and it's all about discretion. I mean, we're talking, NDAs for some of these clients where, we're on private islands where nobody has access. I mean, I've been on a couple of yachts where I wasn't even allowed to pull out my cell phone. So,
Ooh, that's spicy.
post Big Brother, I can honestly say, yeah, there were probably a handful of jobs that they would see my CV, they would get excited, they would go onto my Instagram, and then they're like, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
Because they don't want the attention. They,
Right.
they're going to these remote islands and remote places where, nobody knows who they are, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
But then there have been times where, I mean, holy crap, I've gotten probably 4 or 5 really good gigs because I was on Big Brother.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about that is they don't even want to talk to me. They're just excited that, like, I'm on the boat and that I'm cooking them food, and they can say that they were, they were like, oh yeah, we were on this yacht, and, Chef Nicole was there from Big Brother and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so I'd say it's like 50-50, but, it sucks, when there's a job that you're really, really interested in, and there's no chance in hell that you even have a chance because of who you are and what show you've been on and your status. And
well, the further you get out, I mean, you've got a track record of not of keeping discretion, and so I think the further you get out from it, I think it's probably going to be less and less of an issue. But it is
yeah, definitely more so now. I mean, the last 6 months, nobody, like, it was so great. Like, I felt like I was a brand new person because for lack of better words, it's you're no longer relevant. So it's what's really awesome about that is, like, I just get to do my job, and I don't have to worry about somebody saying, like, oh, she was on Big Brother, like, oh, whatever. But now it's actually, like, it's kind of cool. Like, most of the clients that, like, they're like, oh, you have an Instagram or whatever, and I'll show it to them, or they'll start following me, and they're like, oh, you were on a show, and it's no big deal because to them, they don't really give a shit. So it actually is totally fine.
I don't think it's a lack of, I don't think it's being less relevant. I just think that you gain the industry's trust when you do the right thing. And so I think that you doing the right thing, I mean, you're just not out there posting everybody's stuff, but somebody who's trying to break into the industry, you may want to, they may want to consider their social media footprint.
Absolutely.
I
mean, for sure. I mean, one of the things that has gotten me more jobs than anything is having Broward Sheriff's Office at the bottom of my CV.
Oh, that's good help. Oh my God. Yes, absolutely.
I had a staff agency tell me I needed to remove it. And I was like, I think that's a dumb idea. I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and say you're never going to get me a job.
We were so unsafe all the time. So,
oh my God. Like, are you kidding?
I'm like, if we had a former cop on board, oh my God, they would have been so good.
Why wouldn't you want that? And not only that, I mean, it puts such emphasis on the discretion part because I'm like a no nonsense person. I put on a pair of sunglasses and someone immediately thinks I'm in the military.
Yeah.
So, I'm known for my I'm known for my resting bitch face.
Yes.
And my moods. And so anybody who's watched Big Brother I think all of you can vouch for that there were many times where I wore all of my feelings on my face and don't fuck with me. Like, and it's okay. Like, it's whatever. It is what it is. I find it hilarious. But what's so cool is all the best jobs that I've ever received were because of my cop background. And we're talking billionaire families that, they're going on a trip somewhere and they want to make sure that all of their staff is reputable, all of their staff is secure, and, obviously they're all going to show discretion. But going back to just, like, really quick to anybody wanting to get into yachting, again, your brokers and your crew placement agents are your lifeline. These are people that you want to forge relationships with because when they're in a bind trying to find anybody, either a stew, a chef, a deckhand, anybody, you want to be the first person in their call list. You want to be the first person in their Rolodex. And the last 6 months, one specific broker, she is responsible for all of the jobs that I've had in 6 months.
Wow.
Like, I'm not exaggerating. Every job that I've had since June. Every job I've had since June up until New Year's Eve has been from the same broker. And it was because she was like, this girl's awesome. She is a hard worker. You can trust her. She can come in, save the day. I mean, it gives you that kind of like hero complex, but it's kind of awesome when someone knows that if they're in a bind, that they could depend on me to go in, do the job that needs to get done without any issues. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was cursing to the yachting gods for more than half of this trip. But one, I knew I was getting paid. I knew I was getting paid well. And I knew that I was doing what I was supposed to be there doing. So again, like, keep those relationships going. Like, they are literally your lifeline. They will put money in your pocket because guess what? You're putting money in their pocket. So it works both ways.
That's great advice. And I just want to touch on the money real quick. Okay. So, and I'll use myself as an example. That way you don't have to put your own business out there. But as an example for what I had a restaurant, I was in a lot of debt from the restaurant. It was the restaurant did very well, but I had a really, I'm just going to say my partnership was not great. So I ended up in a lot of debt. So the way that I got into the yachting industry was that the receptionist at my dentist office was like, "Hey, have you ever heard of day work?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Oh, go on this website, daywork123, upload your CV." And this guy called me with a New Zealand accent. I was in the mall eating a friggin' ice cream cone, and he says, "Can you do you have time? You come up to Rybovich Boatyard in West Palm Beach?" I said yes. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. As far as like what to wear and stuff, I mean, I'm dressed like a ghoul. Like I have I'm all in my black kitchen, chef coat and all that stuff. And yachties are wearing white t-shirts and khakis, and I'm the least tropical person ever created. Okay, I'm not a tropical person. I don't belong anywhere on a boat. But so I went and I worked on this boat. They liked me, and then they flew me to Spain a couple of months later, and I was on that boat for a couple of years. But my point is this: my point is that I was able to pay off all the debt that I was in. I owed my parents a bunch of money. I paid off all my debt, and I was able to save some money, and I ended up coming back after 2 years, and I paid for a bachelor's degree cash. So, and I had a little bit of money saved up as well. So it's people told me it's a great career because of the money and everything. And I was like, whatever, how good could it be? Well, it's good. And I was like, well, I get seasick. Well, after 3 days, your body gets over that. So yeah, you puke your guts out for 3 days.
Yeah.
First 3 days at sea is what I call the first 3 days at sea blues, and then after the 3 days, your body just goes, okay, we're not being poisoned, because your body thinks you're being poisoned when you're seasick. So I get used to it and stuff like that. And I was like a fish out of water in the industry, because like I said, like everybody's 6 foot Australians, blonde, like they just stepped off the swimsuit, Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. And then there's me, I'm a little meatball who is not, I can't tan if I tried, like, I'm just a little kitchen frickin' ghoul. So for me, it was a weird time in that, but the money was good. And if you end up in debt from culinary school or whatever, it's a great way to just pay stuff off, because you can't really buy anything when you're you're not going to sit there and shop on Amazon, because where are you going to send it to? What do you need? You don't need anything. You're on the friggin' water. So okay, so I just wanted to let everybody know that the money's good and that they should definitely try it, because it's a great opportunity, and you never know where it can take you. I mean, I went to the Galapagos, I went all over the place. So
yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I've been everywhere. Been to Alaska, the entire East Coast, all the way up to Maine. I've been to Dominican Republic, Bermuda. Ugh, love Bermuda. The Bahamas, obviously, and we're not talking about like Grand Bahama Island. We're talking about the Exumas, and the waters are literally crystal blue. Yeah. And I'm officially now biased because I spent 20 days in St. Thomas and the BVI's, and Yeah, they're giving the Bahamas a run for their money. Like,
Yeah,
amazing.
I thought I was gonna die in St. Thomas. So at the time I was drinking very heavily. I'm sober now. We talk about this a lot on the pod.
Yes.
And like, you know, it can also be like being in yachting can be isolating sometimes. And I was
Yeah.
very it was a difficult time in my life that I was trying to like recover from. And I do remember drinking. It was Christmas Eve. I drank so much and I put so much cocaine up my nose and I went to these strip clubs and just went party, party, party that I didn't think I was going to wake up the next day. And that to me was like it wasn't even a wake up call. I kept doing what I was doing, but then, you know, when I look back on it, I'm like, man, that was a really dark time. So for me, yachting is like like it pulled me out of like a terrible thing that, you know, I was
Yeah.
experiencing, but then I also was able to feed that demon that I have as far as like, you know, alcohol consumption and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
you got to, you know, we're old ladies now, but you know, back in the day, it was very, you know, you have to be careful with what you fall into.
Yeah, it's wild because obviously, you know, being an ex-cop, that's the part that's a little bit unique for me is that, you know, I got into the food industry and later on in life after being a police officer, and I didn't have those kind of vices to worry about
Yeah.
because I was already on a straight lace program. And
Yes.
so, you know, edibles here, edibles there,
Uh-huh.
microdosing here, microdosing there. You know, I love drinking, but I also know what it's like to work a line at a restaurant
Yeah.
at the age of 35, hungover. And when I
Oof.
tell you,
Mm-mm-mm.
never again
Mm-mm-mm.
will that happen.
Yeah.
One, I almost lost my job. Shout out to Dana Rodriguez for handing me my ass
Dana.
and telling me basically, listen, she's like, you are not going to survive this
Yeah.
job if you go out partying with everybody every night. And I took her advice. I stopped hanging out with all the 20-year-olds
Yeah.
and I started focusing on my career. And literally the end of that year is when I came to you and I was like, something's got to change in my life. And you were like,
Yeah.
you need to get into yachting. Your background as a cop, you know, your footprint now as a chef, you were
Yeah.
like, you can do this. Like, you can take that next step and see where it takes you. And so I did. I got my STCW. I moved back to Fort Lauderdale, and within a couple weeks, I got on my first yacht as a chef stew,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest is
And the rest is
history.
history.
Now I don't
I mean,
have to be I don't have to be a stew anymore. I don't have to clean beds and heads unless
yeah.
I'm helping somebody out. But it's no longer a requirement in my job description. I can actually focus on cooking and focus on that alone. You know, like
Yeah.
but I've
And
done
that's
it
funny because
all.
that's a luxury, right? It's like I can, but you
Yeah.
know, the good thing that I wasn't full of shit.
What you tried to
Wow.
I remember I have it. I have to look for it and I have to show it to you. I have a
Oh yeah.
notepad, one of those yellow tablets of writing everything down that you told me about yachting. And I was like, man, I don't know if I don't know if I can do this. And I was so broke. I remember I put my STCW on a credit card. I was
Yep.
so broke. And after that first job, literally that
Take
first
it back.
weekend that I
Yeah.
worked, paid for my STCW, and the rest is history. I mean, I've hit
I
some bumps in the road, you know, there have been some times of like not working at all and you know, family gets in the way and life gets in the
mm-hmm.
way and all those things and you know, then you put a pandemic in there.
Mm.
But I will say this, the pandemic made me the most money I ever made in my career
Oh
because
wow.
people that were not US citizens, most of the yachts were here in Fort Lauderdale and
Mm-hmm.
they were searching for chefs left and right. And if you were from South Africa, if you were from the Philippines, your visa's expired, you weren't able to get back to
Oh
your country. If you did
yeah.
fly back, you got stuck.
Stuck there.
And
Yeah.
I know some people that flew back never came back. They were like, screw yachting, I'm just going to stay home and not
Yeah.
do it again. Um, but yeah, I mean, honestly, like, wow,
It's
like
amazing.
it's amazing how things were different, like on the
Yeah.
water versus
I,
how they were on land.
Exactly. I mean, like I did day work, which means that the boat's not leaving the dock. You just are cooking for the crew most of the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have worked on one boat where they paid me $1,000 cash every week. Like, I would like that now.
I mean, I would.
You know, I'll take that now. You know,
Can I just take that under the table money
yeah,
all the time? Like, there's that part
wild.
of me that I'm like, man, I was able to pay off a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
I was able to like do things that I probably shouldn't have been doing with my money. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just wild. It's wild how the business used to be. It's a lot different now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot more. There's a lot more people. There's a lot more restrictions. Not a lot of hand cash exchange. And so,
Yeah.
ooh, sorry, not a lot of hand cash exchange. And so that's what's making the industry a little bit more different than it used to be. And so
Yeah.
I came in at the end of that. So I was kind of lucky to kind of fall in that path, but
Yeah.
it's not as lenient as it used to be. And so I know there's a lot
I'm
of people
sure.
that aren't happy about that, but
Mm-hmm.
gotta pay your taxes, people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. No, I did. I certainly did. I paid all my taxes. Okay. Um in wrapping up, where can people find you, and do you have anything to promote?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's 2025, and I decided that it's time for me to move outside of my comfort zone. But if you want to follow me on Instagram, the Butcher Goddess 11. You can also hit me up on my website, www.thebutchergoddess.com. I will be rolling out some cooking content coming up soon.
Nice.
Little name drop. We're gonna call it Reality Bites. Do a little
Oh,
pun on
word.
word for me being on a reality show, but also giving
Yeah.
people a little bit of reality of what it's like to be a chef at home. I kind of want to introduce some like easy go-to, like I just got done working on a yacht for 30 days and there's nobody at my house waiting for me to cook for me and give me a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Basically like single chef life. And so, might have some special guests come in and help me cook a little bit and play with some recipes and have them try out some of my my reality bites meals. So I have got that coming up,
Cool, cool.
and
And that's going to be where? Where can is that streaming on, like you're going to do it on Instagram or the
we're gonna start streaming on Instagram.
Yeah.
I wasn't one of those TikTok girlies,
Mhm.
so I'm not really, it's all new for me. So we're
Yeah.
talking like it will probably turn into a YouTube, but more than likely we're gonna start everything on Instagram. It's where I feel safest
Okay.
with everything. I think I need to start being excited more outwardly with what I'm doing in my life. And I think that sharing what I love to do, and that's cooking, I think that I just want to have fun with it. I want to have fun.
Yeah.
I want to include my friends. I want to include my family. And it's kind of like, a fuck you to all the haters too, like if you don't
Yes.
like me, don't watch. But if you love
Yeah.
me, come enjoy. Let's have fun. Like maybe you'll learn something. Maybe I'll learn something.
Yeah,
But
and I want to say
super
something about
stoked
the
about that.
haters. Like, you were kind of like you were on a reality show, whatever. And what people
Yeah.
understand is it's production. There's they the stress that you're under is, first of all, not normal for a normal person. But I will say this, from my opinion, I've known you for many years, and if there was a life-saving medicine that needed to be administered to me once an hour for 12 hours, I would choose you. You would be one of the people that I would choose to do that. I would be like, I trust Nicole. She'll do that every hour. That medicine will save my life. So that's just for me, knowing you for many, many years. The haters are going to hate, but I just want people to know that I love you and trust you. And I think you're an amazing human being.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I trust you and I love you. And I'm super grateful for your guidance. I'm super grateful for your friendship. I'm super grateful that you're healthy. And so, for me, that's a huge thing for me. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for always giving me a
Thank
safe
you.
space.
Of course.
That's one thing that I've realized with the relationships in my life is that if you don't provide a safe space for me, then there's no space for you in my life. And still got a lot of healing to do. I'm still on a journey. We're still there. So bring it on. Whatever you got, I'm here to take it all in. And it's all a learning experience. But February is going to be fun. I'm going to be doing some content in Hawaii. I'll be there for the month. And so if you want to stay tuned to some of my crazy workout routines or whatever else I have going on while I'm there, please, please, please follow along. And I can't wait. I can't wait to show you guys what I have in store for the rest of this year and going forward forever. I'm just super excited about life and all the things happening.
Perfect. Love it. Love you. You're amazing. Everybody give
Love you.
Chef Nicole a follow, and thanks for hanging out with me.
Yeah, thank you. And hopefully, if you have any questions about yachting, drop us some messages in our DMs, and we promise to give you better information.
1,000%. We're here to help. I want to help as many people get on that path because it was a good path for me. So, all right.
It was
thanks,
a good
Nicole.
path, and the path is still going. So thank you, Nikki.
It still is. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, guys. If you like my show, don't forget to subscribe. Leave me a 5-star review. I don't know how many stars you 4, 5, whatever. Leave me a review. Let me know what you think in the comments. You can email me at nikkitalksfood@gmail.com. If you want to be a guest on the show, please shoot me an email. Or if you have any comments or questions, shoot me an email. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Thanks, guys.